Hi, welcome to Holy Humor, and I'm not sure what number it is anymore. Maybe it's 6, maybe it's 7. It doesn't matter. It's a great time to laugh at ourselves, especially if you are Swedish and Norwegian. And I've got a bunch of, and you could put yourself as a Lutheran or a Catholic or a Baptist or whatever, or German and a Dane. Here's some jokes for Swedes and Norwegians, or for anybody that you might just be able to laugh at yourself. So every year for the 17th of May parade, the Swedes lined up on one side of the road for the parade, the Norwegians on the other. Then the Swedes would throw firecrackers at the Norwegians, and then the Norwegians would light the firecrackers and throw them back. A Swedish space scientist came running into the office of his Norwegian colleague. The Swedes will be the first to send a manned spaceship to the sun, he said. The Norwegian colleague responded, but the temperature will be millions of degrees there. And the Swede stood there for a few seconds thinking, and then he said, oh, don't worry, we'll be landing during the night. Yeah. A Swedish truck driver once got stuck in a tunnel in Norway. Soon a Norwegian came by the tunnel and found out that the truck was wedged in with the load stuck against the ceiling. The Norwegian suggested that the Swede let the air out of the tires. The Swede looked angrily at him. You moron, he said, the truck is stuck up on top. Now you, now you know how tough it is between Norwegians and Swedes. A Norwegian and a Swede were at the movie theater, and the Norwegian bet that the hero would die during the movie. The Swede didn't believe him, and they ended up betting $100 on it. When the movie was over and the hero was dead, the Swede began to give money to the Norwegian, but the Norwegian interrupted him. I already saw the movie, so I knew he was going to die. Keep the money. And the Swede replied, oh, I also saw the movie before, but I didn't think he'd be tricked twice. I know. So, what is the difference between Swedes and Norwegians? The Swedes have nice neighbors. I don't get that one at all, but I thought I'd throw it in. A bar customer asked the bartender if he wanted to hear a Swede joke. The bartender pointed to a large man at the end of the bar and said, he's Swedish. Then the bartender pointed to a burly policeman near the door and repeated, he's Swedish. And the bartender finished, now think about whether you want to tell that joke because I'm Swedish too. The customer replied, I guess I won't tell that joke after all. I'd have to explain it 3 times. Okay, here's some religious trivia. Let's see how good you are. What kind of a man was Boaz before he married? The answer, ruthless. He was without Ruth. What do they call pastors in Germany? German shepherds. Who is the greatest financier in the Bible? Noah. He was floating his stock while everyone else was in liquidation. What was the greatest female financier in the Bible? It was Pharaoh's daughter. She went down to the bank of the Nile and drew out a little prophet. Moses, that great leader and prophet. What kind of motor vehicles are in the Bible? Well, Jehovah drove Adam and Eve out of the garden in a fury. David's triumph was heard throughout the land. Also, probably a Honda, because the apostles were all in one accord. Who was the greatest comedian in the Bible? Samson. He brought the house down. What excuse did Adam give to his children as to why he no longer lived in Eden? Your mother ate us out of house and home. Which servant of God was the most flagrant lawbreaker in the Bible? Moses. He broke all 10 commandments at once. Which area of Palestine was especially wealthy? The area around Jordan. The banks were always overflowing. Okay. A little girl was talking to her teacher about whales. The teacher said it was physically impossible for a whale to swallow a human being because even though it was a very large mammal, its throat was very small. Well, the little girl stated that Jonah was swallowed by a whale. Irritated, the teacher reiterated that a whale could not swallow a human. It was physically impossible. And the little girl said, well, when I get to heaven, I will ask Jonah. And the teacher asked, what if Jonah went to hell? And the little girl replied, then you ask him. That's absolutely terrible. Okay, so, oh my goodness. We're going to have some fun with this, I think. A man was being tailgated by a stressed out woman on a busy boulevard. Suddenly the light turned yellow just in front of him. He did the right thing, stopping at the crosswalk, even though he could have beaten the red light by accelerating through the intersection. The tailgating woman was furious and honked her horn, screaming in frustration as she missed her chance to get through the intersection, dropping her cell phone and makeup. As she was still in mid-rant, she heard a tap on her window and looked up into the face of a very serious police officer. The officer ordered her to exit her car with her hands up. He took her to the police station where she was searched, fingerprinted, photographed, and placed in a holding cell. After a couple of hours, a policeman approached the cell and opened the door. She was escorted back to the booking desk where the arresting officer was waiting with her personal effects. He said, I'm really sorry for this mistake. You see, I pulled up behind your car while you were blowing your horn, using a finger that you're not supposed to use, and cussing a blue streak at him. I noticed the What Would Jesus Do bumper sticker, the Choose Life license plate holder, the Follow Me to Sunday School bumper sticker, and the chrome-plated Christian fish emblem on the trunk. Naturally, I assumed you had stolen the car. It's scary, isn't it? Okay, here's some theology as explained by kids. The first book of the Bible is Genesis, in which Adam and Eve were created from an apple tree. Noah's wife was Joan of Arc. Lot's wife was a pillar of salt by day and a ball of fire by night. Samson slayed the Philistines with the axe of the apostles. Unleavened bread is bread made without ingredients. Moses went to the top of Mount Sinai to get the 10 Commandments. The 6th commandment is, thou shalt not admit adultery. Joshua led the Hebrews in the Battle of Jericho. David fought the Philistines, a race of people who lived in biblical times, meaning the Philistines. Solomon has 300 wives and 700 porcupines. Jesus was born because Mary had an immaculate contraption. The people who followed Jesus were called the 13 decibels. The apostles were the wives of the apostles. The epistles were the wives of the apostles. I had to repeat that. One of the apostles was St. Matthew. Paul preached holy acrimony, which is another name for marriage. A godly person should have only one wife. This is called monotony. Now, that's from a kid. Okay, so here's another. Who is the greatest babysitter mentioned in the Bible? David. He rocked Goliath to a very deep sleep. Which Bible character had no parents? Joshua, son of Nun. Nun spelled N-U-N. Oh, yes. So, I want to say these. This is where I may have a hard time reading these. The Scouts are saving aluminum cans. These are church bulletin bloopers. The Scouts are saving aluminum cans, bottles, and other items to be recycled. Proceeds will be used to cripple children. Now, if you're a church secretary and supposed to type these up, you just Every Sunday there's going to be mistakes, and people are so excited to point them out to you. The pastor would appreciate it if the ladies of the congregation would lend him their electric girdles for the pancake breakfast next Sunday morning. Girdles instead of griddles. That you would understand. Our youth basketball team is back in action Wednesday at 8 p.m. in the recreation hall. Come out and watch us kill Christ the King. Anyway, that's enough of church bulletin bloopers. Now, on a Sunday morning, William's mother came into her son's room and said, "William," this is not me, "William, it's Sunday. Time to get up. Time to get up and go to church. Get up." From under the covers came mumbles. "I don't want to go." "What do you mean?" she said. "That's silly. Now get up and get dressed and go to church." "No," he shot back. "I'll give you 2 reasons. I don't like them and they don't like me." "Nonsense," she told him. "I'll give you 2 reasons to go. First, you are 42 years old and you are the pastor." So, God bless you in the rest of this week as you learn to laugh at yourselves, not at each other, but to laugh at the things that happen in life. It is so much easier to bear them when we do this with laughter. So God bless you. Bye-bye.